How's it hanging, dudes and dudettes? My name is Shawn. Welcome back to my channel. And today, for our first story, I guess, man, I have to give props to The Hill. Again, sometimes they get it wrong, a lot of times they get it right. They're the only mainstream political pundits who will call out this kind of BS. Let's go over here really fast, just so we can take a look. I can't believe I missed this. It's been almost a week old already. But they defend Tulsi, and it's pretty epic how they do it. They literally just explode. I think it's like the title of their video, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, panel explodes over Russia accusation. Let's check this out real quick, guys. All right, so before we get into the video, I just gotta say that I have to give them props. They live on air, they shut it down immediately, and I can't believe the guy. Anyway, let's roll a clip. We'll break it down here in just a second. Watch this crap.
The latest polling by The Economist and YouGov shows Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard surging in the Democratic primary, followed by Senator Bernie Sanders.
In a certain demographic, anyway. We'll explain. Right. We're back with Democratic strategist Andrew Feldman and media analyst.
This guy, look at him. He already looks like he already knows he's about to bring it up. He looks so devious. Even this guy is so bewildered by his. Just oh my gosh, it's great.
Analyst Marshall Kosloff. Okay, so new YouGov Economist poll. I like these polls because they have the most amazing crosstabs. They go into like income data and race and who they voted for previously. So I found this data via this tweet, actually. Right. This is the Trump voters who are crossing over to support Democratic voters. And in that category, Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, and Andrew Yang have the most support among Trump voters. Now look.
Now watch this guy take Trump voters switching sides and immediately turn it into Russia. It's Russia. Watch this is. Oh, it's so astronomically absurd how the establishment political pundits just throw out these smears and these lies. I don't know if this guy is prepared for what's about to happen or not, but it gets pretty epic.
N42.
Caveat, very small sample size, right? Very small sample size. Caveat. However, this is consistent with other polling that I've seen from Economist YouGov and other places. I just think it's so interesting, Marshall, because the pat standard conventional wisdom is the further left you are, the less electable you are. And what you see here instead is that actually the best lane to be in terms of winning crossover voters doesn't have to do with your ideology. It has to do with whether or not you are anti-establishment.
Yeah, exactly. And it just shows that those the candidates who are doing well in that poll, and this is why we should, yes, this is 42 people, but we have to think bigger than that, is that they, once again, we were talking earlier about they have an argument. They have an argument that the establishment in D.C., in New York City, in California, et cetera, has failed. And candidates who would speak to that issue, that's a sort of nonpartisan measure, so that's actually a nonpartisan argument. And so that's actually the funny thing. So you're saying they're going to the left, but like, actually, they're moving to the left, but they're actually sort of making a actually centrist argument.
Their solution is left, but their argument is the core.
Their diagnosis. They're diagnosing a problem.
Is what it's all about, and it's the fact that so many people can't even diagnose that problem, Andrew. What did you think of this?
I think
okay, so, all right. He's about to do some mental gymnastics to switch it all into Russia. He's been sitting here fuming on it this whole time. They're all right. They all make good points for the most part. Disagree with them. They're not being disingenuous, right? So here's the epic part.
Likes these polls because Tulsi Gabbard's on top. I also have to just say that I'm very skeptical of YouGov polls.
Okay.
Because the reason I say that is their polling is always only online, and that only gives you a sect of the electorate that is engaging online.
First of all, you could say that for the landline polling. The landline polling only gives you a sect of the electorate, right? Those who will actually go out and vote, and it's usually older people. So when YouGov does an online poll, they're trying to get towards the younger people who might not have a landline phone. It's just they're the only few who does that, and for him to just skew it that way is just pretty much saying that that they're showing that the young people actually like some candidates, and we don't let just the old people get out there and do the landline polling because that's what gives the establishment an edge. And harumph, I say, I don't like that. Anyways, it gets so much better.
know from the viewers of this show that a lot of Tulsi Gabbard support, a lot of Andrew Yang support is within the online community.
Sure.
So that's not surprising to see that. At the same time, yes, Republicans want to support Tulsi Gabbard because she's going to be more favorable to Russia.
No.
That makes absolutely no sense. Watch the reaction.
God,
We're gonna pull that on this show. Come on, man.
And look, and I just want to be clear: these aren't the top line numbers.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
correct.
just
This is on the
within
issue of Trump.
Trump crossover voters.
Which doesn't surprise. It does not surprise me.
It's not about Russia. It's about the fact she's talking about ending
Anti-war.
endless wars. That's exactly what Trump ran on. That's what America First is.
It's not surprising that would have crossover appeal. The message of fighting wars for 20... Wait, do you actually think that isn't a crossover message?
Yeah.
But even the dude's colleague or whoever they got up next to him is just completely bewildered by that. You could tell he is so caught off guard. I don't know if he has ever seen The Hill, or that they're one of the few only mainstream political pundits who actually don't toe the establishment line constantly. This guy is completely caught off guard. I don't think he realized that he was going to face that much backlash about it, because this is what happens when you're tethered to reality, when you understand how things actually are going. The right isn't fans of Russia. It's just not the way it is. It's just a mainstream establishment. From whatever little bit of Russian election meddling that actually happened, they've blown it so far out of proportion to where just because a Trump supporter switches to Tulsi because they like her politics more so than Trump does not mean that he's just such a Hillary clown. It's so bad, man. It's so bad.
I don't
poll, but do you not think?
80% of the country is like,
I don't
get out of Afghanistan.
Yes, correct. But the way Tulsi Gabbard wants to do that is putting our troops in harm's way.
How?
When you look at her Syria plan, right? She's going to meet with Assad. When you're looking at meeting with dictators, that's just as bad as Trump meeting with the Turkish president yesterday.
How does that put? She's literally in favor of meeting with anybody, anywhere to save American lives. Her entire policy is to not put Americans in harm's way. When she went after Pete Buttigieg, she talked about how he wanted to just put troops, fight the cartel in Mexico. She's against that completely. He's completely just smearing her, disingenuous, and it's so obvious, and it's so it's like he didn't realize that not everybody toes the establishment line, and he can just bring this talking point up wherever. It's so sad, man. I wonder who writes his checks.
Let me ask you this: Did you support the Iraq War or not?
No.
Yeah. So me neither. And if you don't support the Iraq War, what that means is that
watch. Oh, I'm sorry, I paused again, but watch him fidget here.
Dictators. That's just as bad.
Watch his hand
as
go
Trump
to his phone.
meeting with the Turkish president
yesterday. Let me ask you this: Did you
support
the Iraq War or not?
No.
Yeah. So
he's
me
so
neither.
nervous.
And if you don't support the Iraq War, what that means is that you believe Saddam Hussein, a brutal dictator who gassed his own people, should have remained in charge of that country. That is my position. That's Tulsi's position, and that's also her position in Syria. And her view is, and look, you don't have to agree with the view, but the view is you've got three choices. You can go to war, you can ignore, or you can engage diplomatically. She believes in engaging diplomatically, even with people who are awful, murdering, brutal dictators. So, look, you cannot think that that's the right approach. I think it's complicated, but you can't pretend that this isn't a principled view that she has consistently held in spite of the fact that she has been smeared by everyone at every turn.
I'm not saying it's not her long-standing view. Right, I just don't think it keeps us safe.
I need to jump in.
Go ahead.
Just to jump in here real quick. Look, I don't think Tulsi should have met with Assad either.
Yeah.
That being said, I think it's dangerous to sort of use talking points like that to respond to the endless war critique. We could debate the tactical. Wait, this real quick. We could debate whether it was tactically wise of her to meet with a brutal dictator.
Right.
Sure.
But to then say that anyone who thinks that we shouldn't be as engaged in the Middle East wants to meet with Assad is insane. Frankly, isn't doing your argument any favors.
I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is there's a lot of other candidates that want to get us out of these wars, right? I'm saying if you want to get out of these wars, support Bernie Sanders, support someone else.
That's why he's at 15% of the vote, and that's why Yang is at 13. So once again, this is the same thing.
Yeah, if you want to get out of the wars, just support somebody who's more favorable to the establishment than Tulsi Gabbard. That makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. He's just the establishment is afraid of this growing divide of people who doesn't like the establishment, right? And a lot of those people look at Bernie supporting Hillary and say, I'm not touching that no more. He went too far with that. He should have fought. A lot of people say that. That's the reason why he does not have the overwhelming amount of support that he did at the end of the primary last time around. It's just a fact. It is just a fact. He should be front running, not Biden or Warren. You know what I mean? It's just a fact. He should be consistently front running. But this Hillary support screws that up. But that just doesn't take away from all the other people who are actually trying to fix some of these problems, and these people like that just smear them. It's so sad. It's so insane. Oh my God, you guys got to give me your thoughts about this guy in the comment section below. Let's finish out this video real quick.
What we're talking about, which is not the reason she has that support isn't that, it's because actually Tulsi is much more culturally to the right than these other candidates, and that's why she would have that. She's explicitly denounced open borders. She's against third trimester abortion. She's spoken out against identity politics.
She's spoken out against LGBTQ.
Okay,
right?
No, first of all, she hasn't spoken about it.
That is not fair at all. Yeah. You're talking about something from her basically childhood and from her very early days. Right. She's very clearly on the side of it.
She has absolutely.
I mean, look, you're gonna smear her as some Russian plant. That's ridiculous.
I'm not saying she's a Russian plant. That's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you said.
Because she's supportive of Russia. Something ridiculous like that.
I'm not saying
that is exactly what he said. He said she's more favorable to Russia. That's the reason why that half the electorate likes him. He's pretty much smearing half the country with Tulsi Gabbard, saying that she is favorable to Russia as a Russian candidate. That's exactly what he's alluding to and implying. It's obvious. You wouldn't bring up this narrative if that's not what you're implying.
She's a Russian plant at all. I'm not saying she's a Russian asset. I'm saying that based on her policies, she may be more favorable to Russia than some of the other candidates.
And that's why Trump supporters.
I've been hearing this for 2.5 years about Trump, and it's the same thing, which is that if you support any sort of strategic rebalance away from the Middle East, you're playing right into Putin's hands. I think it's the most ridiculous thing and argument. But we should also, I think, talk more about the Sanders and the Yang crossover here, because that is what I think we talk about here most on the show, Marshall, about the economic crossover and the diagnosis of that problem, which is that, Yang and Sanders in particular are the most not talking about these cultural issues and purely centering on class warfare. And I think that when you look at it from that perspective, it shows you the lane of any successful politics, both for on the right and for the left.
Yeah, and Sagar, you talk about this all the time, right? The Republican Party, especially since 2016, is more and more working class. It's more and more people who don't have...
So anyways, guys, you guys get the point. If you guys want to check out this video, I'll link it, because a lot of people in the comments don't seem to understand there's a search bar. But I'll link it, and make sure you like and stuff like that, because... oops, notification. People need to realize that it's just an establishment smear is all it is, and if they can do it to a veteran soldier, they can do it to Yang. They're already trying to do a blackout. At least he's pushing back, and Tulsi fights too, but it doesn't stop these people just showing up out of the blue and it's so obvious, man. And the more and more these people do that, these establishment hacks, the more and more it just exposes them. It's a sad state of reality, but it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'll catch you guys in a second upload. I got a rebuttal for the Humanist Report coming up. I like Mike and stuff like that, but man, he's completely wrong on Yang, so I got a rebuttal on that Yang video. Don't go nowhere, and catch you guys on the other side.